Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to another episode of the Marquie Money Talks YouTube channel. I want to thank all the new subscribers for joining the channel, and I want to hope everybody been, having the same blessings I've been having on their investment journey. The last few weeks been real good for me, and it just all comes with paying attention to what's going on in the market and making sure you staying up on the news and watching the changes, when the crazy tweets start coming in, because those tweets can affect the market. And, it's just real different right now. So you really got to be, doing your homework, and you really got to be doing your studying in order to make money. And what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about the difference between trading and investing. Now, with trading, that's something that you do that's kind of like short and sweet, temporary. You're just trying to make some quick money, or just trying to increase your money in your portfolio. Maybe trying to build it up from 100 to 1,000, or 1,000 to 10,000. So you're making a bunch of short-term trades, and that's when I do stuff like a day trading, or options trading and stuff like that. And then you have investing, and investing is something that's more long term. So that's where you getting paid dividends, and you buying stuff and you holding it for long term, and things like that. So I try to, stay balanced in what I'm doing. I do a little trading, but I also do some investing. So that way I'm covered on both ends. I have my long term investments, and then I have my short term investments. And trading can lead into something called day trading. And in order to be able to be a day trader, you have to have $25,000 in your account. But when you have something like that, it really opens up a whole nother door of opportunities for you when it comes to investing, because now you're in a position to where you can make 5, 10, 15, even $20,000 a day, depending on the trades that you make. And then you can also get into stuff and get out of it the same day. And so you're able to create, a daily income that you can eventually start using to pay your own salary to yourself through your investments. Like, you can pay yourself $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a week in a payroll check off of your investments. And that's my ultimate goal, to get to the point to where my investments are paying me a weekly income, and then you're able to write that weekly income off on your taxes, because your payroll is a tax deductible expense. And so, one thing leads to the other. So, you really just want to take your time, just like I said, when it comes to this investing and the stock market and stuff like that. Take your time and build slow. And when you take your time and build slow, then you create more opportunities for yourself. And the more patient you are in investing, then the fewer mistakes you're going to make. And then you're able to think, clearly, and don't get your emotions involved, because getting your emotions involved can really hurt your portfolio, because you can become attached to stocks that become anchors and holding you back and stuff like that, because you become so emotionally attached to them that you don't want to let them go, when the best thing for you to do is let them go and just move on into something that's actually making you money, other than instead of holding on to something that's actually costing you money. And sometimes you take a loss in order to get a gain. So sometimes you may have to lose on one stock so that you can win on another stock. And so that's why I'm constantly, rotating my portfolio. I'm constantly rotating, the things that I'm doing. I'm constantly changing my plans and stuff like that, because my ultimate goal is to get to that 25,000 that I need in order to be able to start day trading. And that's, by law, you have to have 25,000 in your account to be able to day trade. And they're trying to, they're trying to make it to where you can day trade 24/7 without having that large amount. But right now, it's just a rumor. So, until that actually becomes law, then I'm not really gonna, take that to heart. And so, some of the long-term investments that I would get into, this is, for entertainment purposes only. I'm not telling you what to buy, sell, or trade. I'm just, discussing some things that I do for entertainment purposes only. Some of the long-term trades that I would get into is stuff like Coca-Cola, Amazon, Walmart, Apple, Target, companies that, you pretty much know not going in the world. And they have reached that status of Kroger to where they're just too big to fail. And so those are the long-term investments that I make, where I just buy into them and just hold on to them. Like even with the things going on with the AI and stuff like that, investing in companies that have AI infrastructure like Meta, like Microsoft, like Google, and like memory companies like SanDisk and Western Digital and Seagate and different companies like that. Those are companies that I would put money into and just put it in there and never take it out. Resources like gold and silver, those are some long-term investments that I will make, because I'm actually going to get ready to start buying physical gold, because you're really going to want to have physical gold instead of gold stock, to protect you from inflation and stuff like that. And then gold only moves in one direction. And then they use the silver for a lot of stuff like the EV vehicles, the computer chips and stuff like that. So silver, having physical gold, physical silver, and physical copper, I feel like is going to be, real good for the future. Investing in rare earth, they have a U.S. rare earth stock, and that rare earth is something that they need for the AI chips and the EV vehicles and all the technology that's going to be replacing us tomorrow. So, those are some long-term investments. And then, short-term investments are just, investments that I find week to week when I do my options trading. Lately, I've been winning a lot off of like Facebook. Like when they just Facebook and Google just lost a lawsuit because they're saying that they intentionally making the app addictive to people. So when I read that, I'm like, they lost that lawsuit, that's going to cause their stock to go down. And what I was able to do with that was I bought some put options on it because I knew it was going to go down, and I was able to use the money I made off of that put option to buy me a car. And so just looking out for opportunities like that. Over the weekend, I do a lot of research, so I'm doing a lot of reading online. You can go to Yahoo Finance, you can go to Google, you can use some of the AI and stuff like that, and just start being aware of some of the news that's out. You can go to YouTube and kind of see what's going to be happening for the next week. And then once you start looking up that information on a regular basis, then it becomes a part of your algorithm, and then they just start tossing stuff at you. And then, you never know what you may find when they start tossing that stuff to you. And then, just like I said, when you start building up your portfolio, you're able to do something called margins trading. And what margins trading is like when you get $2,000 in your account, they will actually loan you 50% of your account value so that you can continue to build your account. So if you have $2,000 in your account, then they'll loan you automatically another $1,000 once you activate the margins trade. So now you have $3,000 to invest. And then as your portfolio continues to grow, then you'll get more and more money. And then once you move into that realm of having that 25,000, just like I said, you're able to start day trading and able to start, finding things that you can make money off of in the same day. I've seen stocks just go up $1,000, $2,000 in one day. Just like that week I bought the Meta stock or Facebook stock, the puts on it. I spent maybe about $400, and I made 5,000 back that week, and I think I made that in less than a couple of hours. So, it's tons of opportunities out there every day, but you have to do the research and you have to do your homework, and you have to understand what's going on. I could tell you what I'm investing in, and I can tell you my strategies, but then they change every day because I never know when a tweet or a news story that's gonna come out that's gonna change, what I'm doing. And then I can't come on and be like, hey, I know I said I was doing this, but now you need to do this and that and the other. I've done all the research, I've learned all the information, and that's what I try to express to you guys, is to learn how to invest. Invest in your education, because your education is going to teach you the things you need to know in order to build your portfolio properly. Because I can tell you what to buy all day long, but until you actually learn the process of investing and everything that goes into it and everything that affects the companies that you're investing in, then you're really crippling yourself. And you don't want to depend on one person to be able to tell you how your portfolio is gonna grow. You want to know that for yourself. You want to be able to manage your portfolio on your own. So that's why it's important to learn the information and have the education when it comes to investing. So you can't skip past the work. And that's what I really want to express to people, because I get a lot of people asking me when I, post some of the things that I post online. Well, what do I buy next, or what are you going to invest in next, and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I've spent over 20 years, gathering information and learning things and making mistakes and stuff like that. And the one thing over everything that I see that's important when it comes to investing is the education and the research and the patience. All three of them work together. So get the education first, learn how to do your research, and have patience. And then you're going to watch your portfolio slowly grow into something that you can use to change your life or expand the current life that you have. So, don't try to skip past the work. Take as much time as you need to take. If you're a slow learner, then learn slow. If you're a fast learner, then learn fast. But take your time, understand the information that you're gathering. Make sure you're using good sources of information and not people just paid to, try to sway you one way or the other. So I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Marquie Money Talks YouTube channel. The market will be open in a couple of days. So, hopefully we'll have another good week. So until then, keep doing your research, keep gathering your information, and keep investing in your future. And thank you once again for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing and share it with somebody that, want to learn how to invest like you. All right. Thank you.